structured settlements today.
Who's excited? You guys are winning already. Love it.
You will
Mike.
see buzzers in front of you. That is going to be for a game that we're going to play later. But if you would like to see Allie and I laugh, you can buzz it at any point, and I probably will giggle. Okay? That's awesome. Thank you.
There's
Thank you.
people in the middle don't have buzzers.
Oh, don't worry. We'll figure it
Because
out.
we're not flashing
All right. Well, thank you all for coming and attending our session to talk a little bit about some structured settlements. I know sometimes people are like, how can you talk about structured settlements for an hour? Well, we have a little game for you all at the end with some prizes. So this will keep us all engaged, and I know you've been all sitting in meetings all day long, so feel free to get up, move around, and warm yourself up because it's freezing in here. So to get us started, Allie, you want to introduce yourself?
So, my name is Allie Mendiola, and I've been in the industry 17 years. I started with Wrangler, left Wrangler, went to Atlas, and came back to Wrangler. I've been practicing workers' comp, personal injury, mass torts, medical malpractice, employment. These are all the different types of structured settlements that I've been involved. And I know structured settlements may seem a little boring because you just find their numbers, but I'm going to tell you a quick fun, well, it's not a fun story, but it's actually a very interesting story that happened in LA. So maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, we structured about, I don't know, it was over 100 million. And it wasn't just me, it was different brokers. But what happened was that this teacher at an elementary school was feeding his students his sperm. So he would blindfold them and feed them his sperm. And, you know, yes. So I thought I'd wake you guys up with something that you guys, yes. So, the school district knew about it. It was at Miramonte School District in LA, and they did nothing about it. So we had about 80 families that filed a lawsuit. Some settled early on, and they settled for a little bit of money, like $300,000. And then most of the families went to trial, and they got all this money. So my job was to go to the streets of LA and convince the parents that the money their kids were receiving for the structure was for them, and it wasn't money for the family, and to sell them on the plan. So I did that for a month, where I would just be walking on my heels in the city of LA and just pretty much knock on every parent's door and get them to convince. So that was a very interesting one. It was sad. I'm glad the kids got some sort of compensation for their trauma, but it happened. I find that to be a very interesting case and perplexing, because when I say it, people don't believe that such thing could happen, but it did happen. The teacher right now is in jail. So anyway, so I just wanted to wake you guys up and make it a little interesting for you all.
Well, that was interesting, Ellie. Thank you. So, for some of you, I know we've met and had the pleasure of chatting for the last few days. My name is Battaglia. I am a claims manager at Helsman. I sit my desk in Syracuse, New York. I have been with the company 20 years this last December, and I oversee 7 workers' compensation claims teams from the great state of Maine all the way down to Delaware, so 10 jurisdictions within that footprint. So, Allie and I thought it would be fun today just for you all to learn a little something about us. And it's not individual things about us, but things that we actually have in common. Allie, I don't know if we want to share it or we want to have the room guess. Maybe
You guys want to guess?
You can use your buzzers. You can use a buzzer.
Birthday.
No.
Middle name.
No.
Number of kids.
Yes.
Ding ding, there's one. We have 3 in mind. Anybody else have a guess? Should we just tell them then?
Yeah, we're just telling you.
We love red wine.
Red wine.
And we both were athletes. So, some cool stuff about us. Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're gonna get started. And while we're in this room chatting about structures, I think it's important for us to just have a little disclosure. We're talking about real people and real money, I know a lot of times when we talk about structures, from the workers' comp side of the house, is we want to do these structures to ultimately save ourselves or our client, customer money. But that's not it. We're not trying to take money away from people. Like, we are here to help those people, kind of like the story that Allie was sharing. We are here to put a structure for safety of the individuals in the household. Maybe it's over a period of time. You know, we don't want people going out and just using it all when they really truly need it for a, you know, whether it's life or a period of time, whatever it ends up being. So we just wanted to make sure we have a little disclosure up there that we're talking about people, even though we may make a joke of maybe the use of the money that people end up using within these settlements. So, what is a structure? Funny story. I was in the car the other day and my kids were asking, why are you going to Philly for a conference? And I go, I'm there to present on a topic. And they're like, what's your topic? And I said, a structured settlement. And they're like, what is it? I was a little bit, probably, I talk a lot. I couldn't really give an answer. I honestly, in my mind, couldn't come up with a true one particular statement to try to define what a structure actually was. So, I decided I thought it would be fun to utilize, I don't know, what we have, and that's called Google. So, what is a structured settlement? I actually looked this up, Allie, I don't think I told you this. I looked at the definition of what Ringler says a structured settlement is, and it is a stream of periodic payments paid to an injured party by the defendant primarily through the purchase of an annuity. Okay? Does that help anybody understand it?
You get a prize.
So I told my kids this, and they're like, I don't get it. So then I went to Wikipedia. Wikipedia says a structured settlement is a negotiated financial or insurance arrangement through which a claimant agrees to receive a personal injury tort claim by receiving part or all of these settlement in a form of a periodic payment or an agreed schedule rather than a lump sum. My kids looked at me and said, okay, so you get payments periodically instead of just one lump check. Awesome, right? Well, then I'm like, you know what? Just because my kids are all into like Chat GPT, I'm like, let's see what Chat GPT says. Chat GPT says a structured settlement is a financial arrangement that pays out legal settlement funds over time through a structured payments rather than a lump sum. I'm like, all right, we're solid here. So are we good? We kind of know what a structure is now, right?
So now they want to structure their,
College tuition.
I
Yeah.
hope you guys are paying attention because you will be quizzed. Not no joke.
Yes. So the reason why I was sharing it is because everybody kind of has an idea of what it is and maybe can't define it. So I just want to make sure everybody has that there. But really, why do we use it in workers' comp? My background's workers' comp, so I'm going to use it, and I'm going to let anybody else that uses it in their line of business to feel free to share as well. But it's really a tool, right? It's a tool for us to agree to a settlement with helping an injured worker, but in some tokens, maybe make a little bit more extra money. Like we could put $50,000 into a structure that can yield 100 over time versus just agreeing to 100, right? All right. We already talked about going over periods of time. It's based on needs. I've done a lot of structures in my day, and some of them involved people that are like, I just need this money because my kids will eventually graduate from high school, and I would like a lump sum then. Maybe my kid is going to get married at some point in the future, and they want another lump sum then. So it's really definitely customizable of whatever your injured workers party's needs are. It's secure. It is predictable, tax-free income, right? A lot of people are always worried about like, you know, my $50,000 is going to be taxed. No, workers' comp settlement structures, non-taxable. And it also helps with negotiations. I know there's been lots of times where we cannot meet either end of an agreement, but if you're able to change the way the structure is over a period of time, smaller lump sum payments, maybe it's a monthly payment, whatever the case may be, it will definitely change the yield, which is we got a couple slides with some good circles of the ultimate yield at the end of what people will have. So it definitely can have people think about like peace of mind for that. So why don't we move on to when to consider one, right? So I know it says wrongful death. In different lines of business they use wrongful death, but you know, if an injured worker has an unfortunate accident that results in him or her passing away, you have children, whatever age they are group, it's a way to make sure everybody kind of has some money, right? Along the way to support them for life, whether it's up to their graduation or over a period of time. It could be used when you're trying to settle like a permanent total claim where somebody's not able to go back to work in any shape, fashion, or form, but you as the as the carrier wishes to close the books and end your file. Maybe there's nervousness that they're not going to be, they want to make sure they always have a payment every single month or every single week, whatever the case may be, over their life. It's a way to like compromise that and like reassure them that that is going to be possible. Severe injuries, like that's usually where the medical piece comes into play. There might be some high medical exposure that's out there, and it just gives them the opportunity to use it, and if we professionally administer it, people can use it as a card and then go to their office visit, their doctor's visit, whenever they choose, and just kind of have it at their disposal. We're going to talk a little bit about rate of ages later, but obviously based on people's comorbid conditions or the injury in itself, it can reduce their span. So maybe this will allow them the ability to have specific money over that short period of time, like just rather than a lump sum. And I kind of already a little bit talked about how demands are far apart and that, you know, this is just another way why we want to use it. So, what is it? Structured settlement is a workers' compensation tool. It can be a tool in many different avenues, general liability, whatever the case may be. It is a tool for us that it just allows people to potentially move forward with a resolution, closes our door much quicker. Actually, I probably should ask this. How many people in this room handle or touch workers' comp claims? Okay, so we have a good portion here. Okay, awesome. So,
Do you use your structures for MSAs?
yes, yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, we have a couple slides that talk about all the reasons why you use it, but yes, like structure, for MSAs is probably the biggest reason, and I've even had injured workers that would want to structure the medical portion, even professionally, so they have their card, but then they want a lump sum for the indemnity portion. I mean, options are unlimited of how you want to do it, but yes, absolutely. The average workers' compensation claim, anybody have guesses of how long a traditional workers' compensation claim would be open? You could have fun and use the buzzers too if you want, like, any thoughts?
5 years.
It's up between the 5 and 7 year mark. So if you have that claim on your desk for that long, sometimes you want to use the structure to kind of move things along because people might be just nervous that they're just getting a lump sum and not be able to use this money for their life. So it could speed up our workers' compensation process to just resolve the claim as a whole. Reduces legal fees. So this one, I think when Ellie and I were looking at kind of information on there of how we wanted to talk about this as a tool, I think one, it could reduce legal fees in a way because you're trying to get a resolution. I'm not too sure if the structure in itself would just reduce the cost in itself, but it's a way to just move forward and avoid litigation. Yes?
You can structure your legal fees as well.
That's awesome.
There's going to be a lump sum payment to the attorney.
Okay.
Sometimes if it's high enough, and this could happen more in casualty than workers' comp, you can structure the payment to the law firm, and some attorneys really like that.
Wow, thank you. I've never done this. Anybody else structured the attorney's fees? Okay, awesome. All right. And then obviously eliminating the ratcheting or the stair-stepping reserves. I mean, this is a way just to kind of, right, resolve your file, move forward with it. How can you avoid going to a hearing? Like, there's just many different reasons why we would want to handle this in workers' comp as a tool. And I think the next one. So, when you're looking to resolve your file, you want to do it sooner than later. Nobody wants you to go in and say, I'm going to offer you $50,000, and then you go in and make an offer with a structure after the fact. They're going to be like, why would I take that over this? Yes, that's going to be Ellie's shot to help us sell that, why it would be beneficial to them. But the earlier the better would be obviously the best thing possible. It could do any of these items on here, but ultimately I am a proponent of structures for many different reasons. But maybe it's also in my lifetime I've seen so many people that I've known personally settle their files and now they have no money. So how are you paying for your treatment? You don't have any income at all, and now these people are going back out and working somewhere else and potentially having another injury, and I think it just all comes to our own pocket. So I guess that's why I have a vested interest in that. So enough about me talking about structures. Allie, I'll let you talk a little bit about what these actually look like.
Alright. So, does anybody know what a rated age is? Okay, so not many. So I'm gonna explain to you what a rated age and why it's an important tool and you should use it. So, if you have, John Smith that suffered an injury at work and he fell off a ladder and, he fractured his back, some hips, whatever, head trauma, and he's 30. And we submit medical reports to the life insurance companies that we work with, right? But John Smith also has diabetes and also has hypertension and is overweight. So when these life companies give us a rated age, they evaluate all the medical records, including medical conditions not associated with the injury. They will look at the whole picture and they'll say, you know what, John Smith, he has a broken hip, he'll probably be better after the hip, and he has some fractured back, maybe even might need surgery. But he's a diabetic, he has hypertension, he's overweight, and now John Smith is no longer a 30-year-old, but a 50-year-old. So now I'm purchasing an annuity for a 50-year-old. So I just saved you 20 years of payments, okay? So if you can see on the screen, this is an example of a rated age where the male is 61 years old, and I'm purchasing an annuity for $1,000 a month for life. And the cost for this benefit is $169,028. But because of this claimant's particular morbidities and injury, they see him as a 74-year-old. So now using a rated age, I reduced the cost to $84,735. So you just saved half of that money. So when you are also setting your reserves, you can use that rated age, because I know that some adjusters or claims examiners, when they set reserves, they look at the life expectancy of the claimant, right? They have a time life expectancy table, they'll look at it, but you can use a rated age, and now you just saved your company a bunch of money, 20 years, right? Because if we're being real, this guy's not going to live a normal life expectancy with all the physical morbidities that he has, right, or injury. So that's that. And here is an actual sample of an MSA and how we're structuring it. And I think, I don't know if you can see it, it's very small, but how many are you guys familiar with MSAs? Okay, so there's two components in the MSA, right? There's the seed money and there's the annual payments. And then there are some MSAs that are lump sums. So the seed money covers the first 2 years of medical, and then the annual payments are annual payments for the life expectancy of the claimant. Now, I always say, always submit your MSA as an annuity, okay? Even if you think you have a very small MSA, you say, hey, I have a $20,000 MSA, I'm just gonna pay as a lump sum, keep it simple. So you do that, you submit it to CMS, 20,000, comes back and it's 80,000. And they're like, Allie, can you structure it? I'm like, no, I cannot structure it because you submitted it as a lump sum. So now you have to get the applicant attorney to write a letter, sign a letter saying that his client wants to change the method of funding into an annuity. And most of the times they won't do that. They just want the money. They just want cash. So in order to save money and avoid future delays, always submit it as an annuity. And if at the end of the day they don't want to structure it, you can still settle it as a lump sum because they give you both options. But as long as you submit it as an annuity, okay? So in this particular one, you can see that the seed money it was $72,747, and the annual payments were $16,177 for 42 years. The MSA value on this particular claim was $752,000. But since we structured it, it went down to $415,064. So you just saved 45% on this MSA. So this is one MSA where you save 45%. Now if you have 10 claims, how much money can you save, right? And this is another case study with a mid-range case. A lot of people think for structured settlements you need a lot of money. Now, I do love a lot of money, And I love big cases, but guess what? I'll take anything. So on this particular case, it's a very small case. It's under $100,000. We have a case that's settled for $78,000. There's a little cash up front to the claimant of $10,657. The attorney's getting paid, and this claimant's getting a nice little monthly income of $1,100 for 5 years. So you're spending $78,000 for a settlement, and he is guaranteed to net at the end of those 5 years $84,557. Now you're saying, why would somebody structure a little bit of money? Well, you just don't know. I mean, you gotta, ask what the big picture is. I mean, maybe this guy is an SSI, and he's on Medi-Cal, and if he gets all this money, he may lose those government benefits, right? So you always have to be strategic on how you settle your claims. You want to make sure that you get the claim off your books, but the claimant doesn't lose his SSI or Medi-Cal benefits. So you just have to be strategic and ask a lot of questions, right? So this is an example of mid-range case. Now this is a nice one. This is a catastrophic injury, and there's a lot of going on here. There's a monthly income for an attendant care, and it's pretty big. It's about $2.6 million just on that. There's a big medical, and then you have your medical income for medical supplies, and then you have a monthly income for health insurance, and then some lump sums. So 2 things I'm going to say about this. I want to let you know that when you use a rated age, you can save a lot of money. This is a catastrophic case where the cost is $4,788,000. And if you were to leave this claim open in your books, you will look to be paying $6,256,000 in the life of your claim, right? So one, by using a rated age, you reduce the cost to the next page. So it went down to $3,457,000. So you just saved yourself about $1,300,000 by structuring it and reducing it to the present value. Now, you can get so creative with these claims, especially in medical. You can have a revisionary trust. Is anybody familiar with revisionary trust? So you can use those on medical. I mean, if you have a claimant that has a catastrophic injury like this one, and you're looking to pay, thousands and thousands of dollars a month for the life expectancy of the claimant, you can do a revisionary trust where if he does die, that a part of the money goes back to the carrier. And the rationale for that is that, this money is allocated for his medical, and if he's dead, he doesn't need that money for his medical, right? So the indemnity is a little tricky because, they're due their indemnity, but the medical, you can get creative so you save your client more money. So there's a lot of ways you can save money. And our next screen.
I think we're moving on to this one, right?
Oh.
Yeah. I think this is me anyway.
Yeah.
So, actually, no, I think this one is yours, Ellie. But, anyways, I can talk about it as well, obviously. So, how do you gauge you, Ellie?
So the sooner you involve one of your brokers, the better, right? One, don't do it when you're talking about settling, right? Because by then, the attorney and his client have already had in their mind a big lump sum. So you have, you come to a settlement, you're thinking, okay, well, we're gonna settle for $500,000. And they're like, okay, well, $500,000, I can do this with all this cash. And then after you speak about that amount, I show your proposal where you're getting it in a monthly. They're not gonna go for that. So be strategic about it. Involve us early on because we can save you a lot of money in many different ways. And then 2, you kind of plant the seed in the applicant attorney's mind and the applicant, so they're more open to use a structured settlement. So we also provide medical projections and economic analysis, present values of the COLAs for life pensions and so forth, present value calculations. And I know we have spoken a lot about workers' comp, but we do handle minors, right? When you have a minor, you can't give a minor money because he'll spend money on lollipops, right? So you can use that for, you can use us for that. We try to coordinate all the services you need. So if you have a claimant that is a recipient of SSI and Medi-Cal, that's a red flag for us. We don't want him to lose his benefits. So we'll coordinate with the right people to make sure that those benefits are protected. And we try to do most of the people, right? will help you with some of the settlement documents. Some of them your attorney actually has to do them because we're not attorneys, but we facilitate all the documentation we need to make sure that the annuity is in place and the government benefits are protected.
So Ellie, do you prefer for claims people to get quotes from you and negotiate themselves, or do you prefer people to engage you in those conversations?
I think if they engage me, even if they don't feel comfortable me speaking to the parties directly at that time, but if we strategize our settlement, right, then I can say, well, you know what, I can come up with analysis. I say, hey, you know, this is like the worst case scenario, this is like what you might be able to get away with, and this is what you get if you're really lucky, right? And then we approach it that way. So we kind of strategize on how to best settle the claim. And some adjusters or claims examiners, they want me involved, right? So it's really up to how the claim examiner is comfortable me dealing with the claim. So I kind of just take your lead.
And I think this is another, we got a couple measures and examples as well about MSAs up here. So do you want us to walk us through again? This is where I said the circle was, guys, right, of numbers. Yeah, we have a couple of questions.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question? You went through the different things. I'm just curious, what is the cost to engage, a structured settlement consultant?
So can somebody take a guess?
Great.
Zero.
That's right. So you can really use us and abuse us because we'll never charge you money. And you know, and another thing about saving money on attorney fees, you know, sometimes it's something so simple as getting a release sign, right? I mean, you have your MSA, and you just send it to the applicant attorney so they can sign it, the release, so you can submit it to CMS, right? Well, and sometimes the defense attorney, they know they have to send it to the applicant attorney, and the applicant attorney has to send it to his client. And I mean, they're sending a letter via mail, hey, you know, this is the release. Like, we'll do it right now. Like, you tell me where the attorney address is, we'll email it, we'll fax it. Because guess what? I want structure, and I want to get paid. So I have, like, you know, I will be on it. And guess what? I'm not charging you any money for it. So it's free. It's free. And back to this particular example here. This is a small MSA. I mean, it's a mid-size, but I just want to show you, this is an actual CMS approval letter, where on the left side you have the seed money that was approved, which is $55,011. And then you have the annual amount of $9,378 for 21 years. And then we structured this baby. So this one was $251,949. And by structuring it, it went down to $167,939. So you have a savings of 33%.
That sounds fabulous.
And guess what? We are giving the applicant exactly what CMS approved.
Yep. So I guess this is a little bit about the savings.
Right. So, you know, they have done market analysis, right? And the average savings on structuring a Medicare set aside is 35%. So that's a pretty good amount, especially if you have hundreds of claims, right?
Yep. Agreed. So we talked a little bit about this already earlier today about when you should consider getting one. This is just a small portion. I know MSAs is a lot that we talked about. I've already talked about severe injuries, but has anybody else used a structure for a particular reason that you want to share with the group?
So one thing we might work on is, let's say you've got a widow who wants lifetime payments for
Yep.
whatever it is monthly. There are products out there where you can remove the liabilities from your books on an accounting basis, but you can move that payment process to an annuity company
Yep.
and pay it out. Whether you buy the annuity for whatever 1.5 million was going to cost you 2, but they take away all the administrative costs. Your adjusters don't have to cut weekly checks.
Yep.
And that's just a specialized product within an annuity structure.
Yes, that is
And
correct.
not all annuity companies write that.
I think every annuity broker will do that. Every structural broker will do that. So basically, if you have what he said, right? If you have a widow that's receiving a certain amount of money a month for a certain amount of years, we can duplicate that benefit with a structured settlement. So you close your books, and now you don't have to think about this widow or your children anymore. You just give
Well,
us.
we care about them. We just don't want.
Yes, you do. But you know what? You say your prayer, you close your file. Now it's life company's problem. Same thing with PD, with permanent disability. I mean, if you have a claimant that's 100% disabled and he's due, I don't know, $5,000 every month for the rest of his life, you can purchase an annuity and we will pay that benefit and reduce the cost with the different tools, rated age, reducing to present value. So you close your file and we're gonna duplicate that benefit that you're paying the claimant, but now it's not longer in your books.
Now, can I add one thing that, it's called a benefit transfer? And if
That's
anybody-
right.
If anybody's interested in learning about that, talk to me or Al. I have documentation on it. By the way, I should have, I'm a client. I work with that. But if anybody wants to learn any more about that benefit transfer, because it does cut down on reserve requirements and all sorts of things for companies.
Yeah, great tool.
I've used structured settlements, in general liability claims, particularly for minors. And that has worked out really well.
You know, my advice for personal injury people here, how many PI people are here, or boards, okay, is that, you know, you really don't, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, you really don't see a benefit on your side. Because, you know, with workers' comp, you can reduce the cost of your claim with different tools. For personal injury, you come into an agreement on a settlement amount, right? Say it's $500,000, and then you have a minor, and after attorney fees and costs, kid's gonna net $250,000, right? So for us, it's really easy, right? Okay, $250, we'll come up with 10 different plans, they can pick one. My advice is that you make sure that you sign the required documentation with your claim, because if you're not signing the right documents, you're still on the hook for those payments. So I would make sure that if you use your broker, that you understand what you need to sign to make sure that when this case settles and it's structured, you are completely off the hook. That's my advice to you for the personal injury.
For workers' comp, for spine injuries, we often annuitize settlements for just specific things that are generally not medical care, or lost wages, benefits. It's the home modifications that have to be done, or the transportation that has to be purchased, you know, for somebody in a wheelchair, there's the paraplegic. So we will sell those separately under annuities. That way our reserves are not volatile.
Yep.
Because maybe there's a dispute over medical, or it's too expensive to even consider settling right now. Medicare is requiring $10 million, even at structure, that's too much, so let's settle out the pieces that we can.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But I think just working with the broker in challenging situations, you got those insurers that I like my benefits, right? I like getting that check every week or every month. You guys can come up with a plan for that, right? Or
My kid graduates from college.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or from high school, we need college money, we'll give you a lump sum in 10 years of $20,000.
Yep.
You can structure it, yeah.
and then I know you're focusing on the savings part, but like the opposite spectrum of, you know, if you have a cap period of time, right? We pay that over time, so that's why we want to make savings if we're doing a lump sum now. But you can use a structure to say, listen, I'm not giving you your $150,000 due over time today, but if the value of that is $125, I can use that to maybe purchase a structure that gets you more than $150 over a lifetime. So you can kind of use it to inflate the value of the case, but still settle it within the appropriate amount today. So it's just the creative approach whenever you hit a roadblock on the settlement, and your guys' partnership is fantastic.
It really is a negotiating tool. You know, sometimes applicants, like, their case is their life. Like, they wake up and think about their case. They go to bed, they think about their case. I mean, this is their life. They're not working, this is all they have, their workers' comp case. And sometimes they're really mad. They're mad, and they're angry and frustrated. The work comp system is a good system, but it does have a lot of flaws too. So, you know, when I go to mediations or informal settlement conferences, I always try to look at the human side, right? Like, the applicant said, well, you know, I want $2 million, right? And I'll say, okay, well, just tell me what you need, right? Tell me what you need. Well, you know, I this is my medical treatment, and I pay this much for medication, and my rent is this much money, and, you know, I want to make sure that my kids are taken care of if something happens. I'm like, okay, what if I gave you all of this? Are you going to be happy? Yes. Well, guess what? I just did it for $700,000. So it's all about focusing on their needs. And I think if you show them a little bit of humanity instead of numbers, they're more likely to be happy to settle the claim with a structured settlement than if you just see them as a number, right?
Yeah, I have a question about the benefits transfer piece of it. You know, my team has resolved a lot of cases with structures as part of a settlement, but if I understand the point correctly about transferring the benefit, you're talking about like a statutory benefit that instead of the insurance company paying it, you would be paying it on our behalf. I haven't quite used a structure like that before, so I'm assuming if we were to do that, typically the courts need to sign off on the different payer. Like, how does that exactly conceptually work?
Well, it really depends on the state you're in. I mean, I know I do a lot of work comp, and it's just like a benefit transfer. I mean, if you have a permanent disability that's paid throughout the life of the claim, you know, and it's like I said, I would say, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, you know, a month. We just do the paperwork, right? The paperwork involved, which is a qualified assignment, where we're shifting the responsibility from the carrier to the life company. So some states will just require that, and some will require court approval, because you're still settling that benefit. You're just using a structure to, you know, do that, an annuity to do that.
There isn't, like, for super regional, there isn't a state that I had to do that. They're all like three. I'm not sure I have to worry about that for you. The bigger issue is the accounting on your books. You can't, the liability doesn't leave you statutorily, just because you transferred it out. So you have to work with your accounting department, and they have to be able to manage that, on the books. Because you're gonna knock down your reserve, you're gonna take down your reserve, but your company still technically owns the liability.
Yeah, so if the life company were to go under and become insolvent, then the responsibility.
The responsibility transfers back to you. Yes.
The one thing I will say is the companies that do this are all A+ rated. You know, it's not like Joe's Bank can say, hey, I'll take this and make it. These are the best companies, and not every company will do that.
And you should ask your annuity broker if they're getting quotes from A-rated companies, because you would be surprised that they don't all do that, and so that is a requirement of our company.
So you're right about that, and it just depends who the carrier is. For example, if it's an AIG claim, they have guidelines that we brokers need to follow. For example, they give us a list of what life companies we can use and what life companies we cannot use. So we basically go with what the guidelines are for that particular carrier. And, you know, just to kind of second what, I forget his name. What was the one I was talking behind her? Yes. Dave. When we had the Depression in the 1930s, the stock market went down, but all the life insurance companies pay their obligations. Life insurance companies are highly regulated by the state, and they have to put money aside for their future obligations. So, yes, you know, it's very secure. They're A+ rated companies, and the reason that even judges approve and recommend structured settlements for minors is because they know that when they turn 18, the money's going to be there.
Love it. I love this dialogue. This is awesome, guys.
And then, I'm assuming that y'all can assist with our defense attorney with settlement language.
Yeah, we'll provide you all that. Yeah, we'll provide you all that.
And actually, that is the next slide in here as well. I know we talked a little bit about, you know, when to do it. So, obviously, the first offer should be in a structure. You're never going to get somebody to agree to a structure. I would say never. Very rarely will you have somebody agree to a structure if you don't make that offer initially up front. Obviously, working with somebody like Ellie, you get it emailed, you get it faxed quick, getting any information you possibly can. But this slide talks a little bit about what documents are required. So these would be the required documents in order to proceed. Sorry, did I click the button? Yeah, my fault. Things that are necessary in order to move forward with it.
Pay attention. You're going to be quizzed.
Ingrain it. All right. So I know you guys all asked questions throughout. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap this up and play a little knowledge check?
I just wanted to say too, what I do a lot is get quotes using the number of years of guarantee to be different.
Yes.
You know, so
Yep.
I'll get 3 quotes. I'll go one time. I say I'll do be with a guarantee,
Like
of
10,
5 years,
Yep.
and then 10 years, and then life expectancy,
Yep.
rated age, you know?
Great.
And that way I know my range.
Yep. No,
Spread
that's a
out,
great point.
More beneficial.
Yep. And that's where your partner, you know, a consultant will help you, because sometimes you're in that negotiation and they wanna change the terms of like what they want, and you're like, all right, let me get that right now. Like, working through that is definitely helpful.
Like if life expectancy
Yeah.
specifically is very volatile, like a
Yes.
brain injury or something,
Yes.
for example. So, you know, they could live 2 years or 10 years, you don't know. So you'll guarantee a payment for 2 years, even if he dies after one. They
Yep.
put the payment through the second. And then after that, it can either revert to family or it can revert back to the company. Those
Yep.
are all negotiable terms.
100%.
And quick note on that, if you are on the defense, you should always have your own broker, okay? I mean, you can have an applicant attorney that has his own broker and he's guaranteeing the MSA, which is a lot more expensive than a temp life that we would traditionally do on an MSA. So why would you guarantee an MSA, right? I mean, the money's not for his family after he dies, it's money for his medical. If he's no longer living, he does not need the money for medical.
All right, who's ready to test their knowledge?
We have some cool prizes, guys.
You guys excited? Yes, thank you. All right, awesome. So let me move my screen over here. I figured for simplicity, team 1, team 2. You guys good with that? You all have buzzers in front of you. My folks that are sitting in chairs in back, feel free to come on up to the table and be near a buzzer.
We got 5 bucks.
You can, yeah, you can use, that way anybody can buzz in, because there might be somebody that knows the answer quicker than another. So, let me get rid of this screen, which is really odd that this is on here, so let me see if I can figure out why. Let's get out of that. All right, you see this? You guys excited about this? Yeah? All right, I could get really creative and ask team 1 what their name wants to be, but I feel like just making this simple right now, because this might take us some time to get through. I will do, what do we want to do? Team 1 start first? Who they are? Team 1, collectively, because you all are staring at each other trying to figure out where you would want to start. Anybody want to be a spokesperson and help out and say which category and dollar value?
Go down the road.
Sure, that's such a great idea. So do you want to go first then?
Sure. Terminology for.
Terminology for 100? Alrighty. This financial arrangement provides claimants with secure, predictable, and tax-free income over time. Yep, I gotta figure out, because I'm on my, So I did this on a computer with a keyboard and it worked out differently than my laptop, so apologize for that. So that was team 1, you are getting your points for 100. Also, because we could sit here all day with you collectively all working, we're just automatically gonna go over to the second side. So team 2, where would you guys like to go?
Let's do structured what for 100?
Structured what? Your claimant just bought a Ferrari with their lump sum and now they need money for surgery. This could have been avoided with this.
Structured settlement?
Medical structure, sorry.
Yep. You guys are good. And that was team 1, right? All right, so back to team 1. I'm just going every other. Maybe I'll use this so I don't forget, because I have problems remembering things. So, next in order, gentleman over there.
All right, terminology for 200.
How do you even know? I'm not even on the screen. Terminology for 200.
Ouch.
This term refers to the estimated lifespan used by insurers when a claimant has serious medical conditions, often reducing the cost of an annuity. I saw it over here first.
Yes.
Awesome. So that is team 2. Points over there. We got a tied game here, folks. All right. You guys notice this? I've already forgotten. Back to team 2.
Just a second. Come on, Mark.
Which one? I'm sorry. True or false, 300. An advantage to a structured settlement is flexible control of funds by the insured worker or claimant.
What is true?
Alex?
Sorry, I'm not looking. Hang on, guys, hang on. And that was team 1. Thank you, see? This is getting confusing because I got lots of fingers to go. So now, back to team 1.
Let's do, terminology for
300. This is a government-approved funding method for future medical expenses when a claim is settled involving Medicare.
MSA.
Yep, yep. That was team 1, right?
Yep.
Okay, you guys are keeping me honest here, I appreciate it. Down to team 2, where do you guys wanna go?
Guess who for 100?
Guess who? This person avoids spending their entire settlement check at Costco on day 1.
Injured worker claimant.
That's right. That is team 2, alrighty. Okay. Team 1.
Guess who for 500?
Guess who for 500, our first 500 of the day. This professional shows up with great, wow. Okay, I won't read this one. I don't know where the buzzer was because I was trying to read.
The structured annuity representative.
That's right. Or Mendiola, right? Either one is okay.
And that was team 2. Oh, we're back to a tie game here. Look, now we go over team 2. It's in your hands. Where are you guys going?
Let's do terminology 400.
Terminology 400. This key settlement docket is filled with the courts to finalize a structured settlement in a workers' comp case.
What is compromise and release?
Is that the right answer?
Official.
Yep.
Okay, I'll click the button. Hang on. Just hang on, guys. Clearly should have brought a mouse here today.
Good job.
All right, that was team 1. We'll add it on there. All right, so now we're going back to team 1. You guys get to pick yours. Where are we going?
Guess who for 400, Lauren?
Guess who for 400? This government agency prefers to see properly allocated future medical funds instead of surprise billing down the road. Wow, I saw 2 lights in this corner, right?
CMS.
CMS, Medicare, same thing. Yes, good job.
Team 1.
I could feel
All right, over to team 2. Where are we going?
True or false, 500.
True or false 500? Okay, just want to make sure before I click it. Initial deposit is structured is generally the first 2 years of medical benefits.
Correct. Yes, true.
True?
What did it?
True.
What did it? Oh, yes. I didn't hear it. What? Oh, you're right. It's false. Sorry. It is false.
Cost of surgery.
That's right.
Yep.
You got 2.
That
That is
was
false.
team 2,
It's
right?
receipt money.
Team 2 just lost their card. Okay, back to team 1.
Acronyms for 500, Lauren.
Acronyms for 500. Did we talk about this at some point earlier today randomly?
I mean, you said that created the presentation.
I feel like we talked about it with somebody in this room. Maybe it wasn't you. I talked with somebody about PARIs earlier today, but anyways.
Professional administration versionary.
Sounds like pretty good to me. What do you guys think?
What is professional administration religion?
All right. Want another funny story today? I was doing a different meeting and this potential customer asked about structured settlements today. I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm talking about structures today. And she's very interesting, coincidental, maybe. I don't know. All right, back to team 2.
True or false 400?
True or false 400? A structured settlement should be preferred option for settling an MSA over 25,000.
Yes, true.
Yep. Sorry, I keep on hitting my screen and messing all this up. So this is team 2. You guys got back up there. All right, back to team 1.
Structure what for 500?
Structure what? You're dealing with a wrongful death case, a grieving spouse, and minor children. This solution keeps the judge, the family, and your nerves in check.
What is this structured settlement?
You're so smart over there.
You got workers' comp.
All right. Back to team 2. Where are we going?
Structure what, 400?
Structure what, 400? When the claimant has... Yeah, you guys doing over there? Wow, you wouldn't let me read. True or false?
Drop points for that.
It's true or false?
No, it isn't true or false.
Structure what?
It's either
Structured settlement.
I don't do.
That is correct.
I have an investigation.
All right.
Team 1.
What's going next over here?
Terminology 500.
Terminology 500. This agreement transfers the obligation to make future structured settlement payments for the employer or insurer to the third-party annuity provider.
This is a hard one.
Isn't that the revision you just said? We talked about just now?
We did. Well, I don't know, we talked about a few things, but it was one of them.
Visionary trust?
No. No.
I know what it is. Oh, shucks.
Okay, you go.
Benefit liability transfer?
No.
All right, we both got it wrong. You guys, any other guesses in the room before I hit the space bar so everybody sees it?
Does it benefit transfer?
No.
Oh,
Yes, who said that?
She did.
I read it.
All right, we're going to team 2.
400.
400, acronyms.
Annuity product? Annuity payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we give her the points?
Yeah.
Yes.
You should.
They didn't tell you that the prize is a trip to Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Something like that.
That's awesome. All right. I now see. I didn't move my bottle, guys. What team am I on now? I see the question from. Okay. All right. Who's next in line?
Start back up in front.
Up in the front.
Okay. Guess who 300?
Guess who? 300. This person has to explain financial risks to their clients and would rather say guaranteed payments than market volatility.
The alley. Not the broken
The plaintiff attorney,
That's
plaintiff.
right.
Yep. All right, team 2, where are we going?
You're fine.
What was that?
Get our points. Yeah, come on, Mark.
I deducted theirs, yes, and I'm trying to think what was, there we go, sorry. Yes. Thank you for keeping me honest up here. Where are we going next, though?
Structure what, 300?
Structure what 300. If your interworker plans to open a llama farm in another state, this type of settlement helps provide stable income, no animal wrangling needed.
Structure settlement?
These are smart.
That was team 1.
All right.
Team
And did I move this bottle? No, I can't remember. Back to team 1 to answer yes. Next in line.
Acronyms for 300.
2. Present value.
That's right.
All right, back to team 2.
Chop chop.
Yours falls, 200.
What 200?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sure, false.
True or false? Sorry. Oh wow, we got a buzzer here. What was that? All right, team 2. go. What was that?
Let's go acronyms, 200.
Acronyms 200. I heard it over here.
Cost of living adjustment.
Right.
All right, team 2.
Structure what, 200?
Structure what 200? You guys figured this one out, huh?
What is a structured settlement?
Yes.
That's right.
We were hoping like in this room format that when we had these buzzers and had a larger group that people would be fighting over hitting that buzzer first. So thank you for playing the game for this one. All right, back to team 1.
Guess who? 200.
Guess who? This party sleeps better at night knowing the case closed without a 6-week trial. Yes.
The adjuster. Insurance broker.
Yep. But she should get a raise for that, for closing that claim. Adjuster should.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, team 2, where are we going? Acronyms or true or false?
True or false?
True or false? Every settlement should involve a structure.
Considering you guys created this.
What did we put down as the answer? We did? Okay. All right, last one. I think that might have been like tied for real.
Medicare says that. We all say that. Give it
I was practicing yesterday.
All right, well, Allie and I both appreciate your guys' time today. I hope you guys learned something throughout this whole process. I think you guys are definitely well versed in the structure, and we also try to make this less dry as much as possible, because I think sometimes talking about structures, you think, again, how can we speak about them for a whole 60 minutes?
Right. Hey, we have prizes for everybody, so come and get them. They're scratchers. Hopefully you win $100,000.
Bring it up.